Okay, I'm here. I need another drawer in my old refrigerator in the garage. When you open it up, you see there's plenty of space, but I do have a couple of brackets there. So I'm going to go ahead and make another drawer for this. I don't have the wire shelving that you can get from Kroger. Get from Lowe's or anywhere like that. So I'm going to use what I have. Let's see what I have. Well, what I have is an old chewed up tote top plastic, and I have several of those rods right there that are from a closet, but they're metal. So what I'm going to do is use those rods as brackets. I'm going to use that. I'm going to cut this out and make that into a shelf and use the rods as brackets to hold it so it's nice and secure. First, I need to measure the width of how those rods will go in there. I want to make them flat on each end so they hold it up. I measured them and they're 12 inches. So I'm going to cut that piece of metal to 12 inches and flatten each side. And then I have to measure the shelf, and it is 16 inches deep and 13 inches wide. Now I'm going to take this rod and I'm going to bang out and make that flat right there. And I'm going to cut four 12-inch pieces. I did a fast forward for everybody, and I cut out four 12-inch pieces, and I hammered in and made each side flat so that they can fit inside the refrigerator. And if you want to look, they're going to come over here, and each one of those rods are going to slide in to the shelving just like that. And I'm going to have four of them that's going to attach to the piece of tote plastic and make my shelf. Now I've measured up my shelf. I got 16 inches deep right here, and it's 13 inches wide. I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to fit it into the refrigerator, attach it to those brackets, and I'm going to have a new shelf. Because the plastic on the tote lid is so thin, I'm just using an X-Acto knife to cut along the line. And when I cut along the line, it might not be the straightest, but it's going to go ahead and cut that in two, and I'll be able to get my shelf made. Well, I'm back inside to make sure it's the right width. It needs to be 13 inches. Looks like it's right there, 13 inches on the dot. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut it up on each side to make a square or rectangular shelf. Okay, I have my shelf cut out, 13 inches by 16 inches deep. I did have to do a few extra cuttings to get it to fit. If you look in there, it fits perfectly. However, because it's really thin plastic, we need to make sure we put those braces on so that it holds food up and does a good job. As you can see, my dog Track, he's helping me. He loves to come out and help, and so he'll be probably in a lot more of my videos. Now, as you can see, I got my braces in. I can put my shelf in. Good and sturdy. However, because it can slide back out, I want to make sure I lock it in. So I'm going to put some screws in to those braces to make sure that the shelf doesn't slide back out and we can use it for a long time. In order to lock those in, I can see, if you can't see, there's marks across each one of the braces to show where they're at. And I'm going to take my handy dandy drill, and I'm going to put a couple of holes in there so I can go ahead and lock some screws in there. What I did, I went ahead and I put a couple of holes in for the first two brackets. Pull that back out, lock those screws in there, and I'm going to turn it around the other way, do the same thing, and lock those screws in there so I make sure everything's the right spot. Now y'all do get to see my mess I have here. I got my screws all separated, but I also have this area that has this random stuff that I threw up there. and I haven't organized yet, but I did find 4 small screws that I can use to put through the tubes, the metal tubes that won't come out the other end and be sharp and cut someone. So I'm going to use those 4 screws and we're going to take care of it. Now, because it is thin plastic, I want to put a washer when I put it down. That way it doesn't sink in and rip through the plastic. So as I drill this in, I'm going to have a little small washer on there to make sure that it holds tight and doesn't go through the plastic and rip through. And the finished product, got my shelf in. Should hold up pretty good, and we'll see you next time.